More on this. Political analyst Ross Feingold joins us now from Taipei. And Ross, why has Hong Kong and presumably Beijing decided to make this concession now? Why not ages ago?
It's a good question, and obviously the 3 months of civil unrest that is ongoing in Hong Kong had to cause Beijing and/or the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region government to take a more substantive action. Now, keeping in mind that the announcement today is somewhat technical, even though it is one of the protesters' demands, because the government of Hong Kong had previously announced that they were not going to proceed with the bill. It was kind of more a suspension that they had announced, and now they're calling it a formal withdrawal. Of course, on the other hand, a future government of Hong Kong could also try to pursue this again years in the future. But as the leaders of the protest movement have indicated in the interview that we just saw, as well as in social media and other comments that are on the internet this evening here in Asia, they're not satisfied by this statement alone, and they plan to continue their protests over various other issues.
Yeah, because that withdrawal of that bill is only one of 5 key demands that protesters are making. They also want full democratic rights, and that is not something that Beijing is likely to give into.
Well, the reality is that that's not offered right now. It's not being offered by the Hong Kong government or the central government in Beijing. There is no substantive proposal that's under discussion by the various stakeholders in Hong Kong society. So at the present moment, at least, that's just not realistic. And of course, the protesters know that, but they're still going to continue with their actions, at least based on what they're saying publicly today.
Right, so those protests likely to continue. We've also had that leaked audio recording yesterday where we hear Carrie Lam blaming herself, taking responsibility for unleashing unforgivable havoc, as she calls it, on Hong Kong. I mean, is her job still tenable?
Well, that's been the speculation over the course of these events. But, more importantly than whether or not her position is tenable or untenable would be if she resigns, what would happen next. And clearly the protesters would not be happy with whoever is the replacement, whether on an acting basis or after a by-election, because that person will not be selected by a democratic process. It will be selected by the same process that the protesters are protesting against. So whether she goes or not really doesn't change a lot of the calculus as far as what the protesters are unhappy about or demanding. And there's the obvious fact that should she be forced into resigning by events in the streets or by the central government in Beijing, she would be replaced by somebody, again, not just selected by the same process, but who meets with the approval of Beijing as far as their allegiance to the basic law and one country, two systems. And then by definition, that would be unacceptable to the protesters. So it's almost a case of be careful what you wish for as far as forcing her out of office.
Ross, good to speak with you. Thank you very much indeed for that. Ross Feingold there.